Hello. Welcome to another 10x Investor Education channel. Today's video is about Luminar versus Velodyne Lidar. Why Luminar jumped 27% plus 16% after hours, and why Velodyne Lidar never had that much momentum. Disclaimer: this is not an advice. Please do research at your own and trade at your own risk. This is just my opinion, and below I describe my position in each stock. Before going anywhere, please take a second, click the like button at the bottom of the video. Okay, let's get into the video. Luminar Technologies. This is today's chart. Regular dating time, it went up by 27% and after hours 16%. Okay, so before going and buying stock at the peak, keep this in mind. This is one of the highly momentum SPAC which will go through pump and dump like any other SPAC, and probably 30 to 50% after merger for a few days and cools down. So invest carefully. Okay. So just like a lot of other SPACs. So what happens is this SPACs, lot of investors, some of them are longer term, but some of them are really day traders. They just invest day before merging. Once merges, there'll be a lot of momentum. It'll go up by 30%, 40%, 50%, and then after 2 3 days, they'll take out the money and go and put in another SPAC, which is getting merged. So that's why I want to make sure like you don't get into the trap buying at the peak and losing money in next couple of days. Okay, let's get into some of the technical stuff about these companies. Tesla and Elon Musk don't like LiDAR for their autopilot because it's too expensive and few other reasons. They use lot of cameras and AI in their autopilot. They spent years and years of research in collecting the information and data on how to respond to different events in autopilot. But none of other companies don't have that much data or research can afford that technology in autopilot. So they have, so pretty much other companies, the only option is using lidar in camera to get the autopilot going fast. Like battery technologies companies, there are hundreds of lidar companies. Go on Google, you'll see a lot of companies. But of the first one to go public is Velodyne Lidar few weeks back, maybe 2 months back, and now I think it's less than 2 months back, and then right now it's the Luminar. Okay, so let's look at Velodyne quickly. It's more mature company. It was started in 2005, and Ford is the one of the biggest investor in Velodyne Lidar, and they had initial partnership to use some of their lidar technology. They make a lot of lidars, and for autos it's pretty expensive. So there's a reason why they will never be able to partner with big auto players such as Volkswagen, Toyota to supply their autonomous driving technologies, because if the one lidar is too expensive and if you need these couple of lidars in autonomous, then it's going to be very expensive. Okay, so Luminar is pretty new company, started in 2012. Okay, one of the, and the main reason they are successful is affordable lidar technology. So these lidars are much more cheaper and technology is different than what Velodyne lidar building. So Peter Thiel, which is one of the early investor, and in Luminar, and he is also early investor in Facebook, and also is a founder of Palantir. If you don't know Palantir, click on Palantir Technologies, and it has tripled from its IPO price. Okay, so going back to Luminar, Luminar recently signed up deals with Volvo, belongs to a company in China, Geely, 100% owned by Geely. So yeah, if you don't know, Volvo is a Chinese company. Volkswagen, MobileEye, Daimler. That's a lot of lidars to sell. So they have a lot of partnership with big companies, and MobileEye is huge, and Volkswagen, Audi is huge. So Daimler also invested big money into Luminar, and so to give you an idea, 25 auto companies use MobileEye, not just necessarily for autopilot, but a lot of other safety features. And almost 50 million vehicles has MobileEye security system. Okay, so Geely is including Volvo. They produce 2.15 million vehicles last year and is one of the global 13th largest car manufacturers, just to give you an idea. So the partnership with such big companies, and if they can sell a lot of lidars, that's what it comes to end of their revenue. Right now, though, they have only a lot of partnerships, not yet large scale manufacturing, nor large scale scaling. So revenue for this year, not much. Next year, not much. We'll go through the investor presentation and we'll look at some of the techs. Okay. So let's get into some of the techs. Okay. So before getting to Luminar, I released this video about Bitcoin, right, and then Mara investing. Okay. So what this is, my 10x, the philosophy behind 10x video is to get 10 times returns and investing hyper growth companies. I know this is a risky. You might, there are very speculative companies. You might lose 50% of the revenue investment you make, but at the same time, it's the potential is like 5 to 10 times in next couple of years. That's the whole idea. So 3 weeks back, when I recommended a Riot company, the stock was trading. This is my video. The stock was trading at $3.90. Okay, let's look at Riot video now. Riot is $9.97, close to $10, which is 150%, which is 100 and almost 200% in 1 month. Okay, so similarly, Marathon Patent is one of the Bitcoin miner. It has a similar return if you look at it. Right. So 1 month return of Marathon is similar 172%. So I'm heavily invested in both minor companies. You need to take a look at, watch this video and try to understand why I recommended Bitcoin, why I recommended these minor companies, which has more profitable than investing Bitcoin itself, and you'll see in this video. Okay, so let's go get into an article talking about Luminar. So this article from today talks about overview of how Luminar started by this founder and where it is right now. Luminar rises in market debate, making 25-year-old founder billionaire update. So he's 25-year-old. So the company was started 8 years back when he was 17. So Luminar Technologies produced sensor technology for self-driving cars, started trading publicly Thursday, made 25-year-old founder a billionaire. Austin Russell began Luminar in 2012 at age 17 after he left Stanford. Okay, so Luminar spent huge amount of time just figuring out what was possible. The company makes LiDAR scanners, which uses pulsed lasers to sense distances to nearby targets. In self-driving cars, the technology helps onboard computers to create a picture of surrounding obstacles such as other cars and pedestrians in order to avoid collisions. So you understand the main idea how LiDARs work. So including Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Luminar has said that seems total addressable market growing from $5 billion to $150 billion. Okay, so if it's that much big market, there are not only few players that are publicly traded right now. So let's, it's how it's trading with the SPAC and all that, based in Orlando. Okay, so the most important thing I want to cover here is, so this is the most important crucial in computer assisted driving that I understand. The one thing I want to cover is Luminar remains unprofitable. It lost $95 million in 2019, following a loss of $80 million a year before. Last year, Luminar's revenue was 12.6 million, 11.7 million. So it's normal. You can't expect first couple of years of an IPO, pre-IPO to make any profit. So they have to make a lot of losses before getting into revenue, actual and growth. So let's get into why. It's a very nice Reddit article why Elon Musk doesn't like it, and why it is expensive, things like that. Okay, Elon Musk himself is a leader in SpaceX. His opposition is when it comes to autonomous cars, not other applications of the tech. So there are so many applications that use LiDAR, from defense to robotics to drones to a lot of other things. So obviously his main complaint was cost. So it's his very reasonable argument. It's impractical to pay so much more than cameras. Okay, so cameras are much cheaper, LiDAR is much expensive. So the main point he's making is the first generation of fully autonomous cars, lot of regular car manufacturers which don't have technology like Tesla, they have to depend on camera and LiDAR to get it right, autonomous, and avoid crashes. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Just because Musk is a genius and Tesla is an innovative company doesn't mean that he's right for the first and everything. In fact, Tesla has the worst safety ratings of all autonomous vehicle makers. So don't want to get into details, but summary was basically a lot of other companies they need LiDAR. So LiDAR is one important thing. Okay, so this is the Velodyne LiDAR. As you can see here, 1 month chart. This is when it went IPO. Slowly, this is the when they said, "Hey, Ford invested big time," and then slowly went down and went up little bit and went down. At the end of the day, it only went up by like 50%. $10 is the original stock, only 50%. Okay, so if you look at Luminar on today's chart, obviously 27%, 16%. If you look at 1 month chart, obviously it didn't do anything. Okay, slowly, this is where they have come up with the news with bunch of partnerships, and they progress. Okay, and obviously this is just day before merger, and it's picking up, and today it went up like crazy. Okay, this is what the chart is. Okay, so let's get into some of the news about both these companies. Luminar announces cheaper LiDAR for self-driving cars. Okay, this is the main driving factor for them to beat Velodyne LiDAR in competition and signing up with all partnerships with all these companies. Okay, so this is a Luminar investor presentation. It's a 45 page. I went through every detail, but for simplicity, I will go through the simpler parts. Okay, so as I said, Austin Russell is the founder and CEO, and they have a great talent, um, including in early investors and people. Okay, so this is the company they just merged with. Okay, and if you look at, this is the technology that they are talking about, how the LiDAR they can visualize everything. Okay, so Peter Thiel, rest of the early investors, and 350 plus team across a global footprint. They had 4 partnerships in 2017. They had like more than 50 partnerships. Okay, so you have to be make sure that partnerships is different than actually signed contracts. Okay, that's very important. So they might say, I mean, like Volkswagen might have a, to share LiDAR technology with this company, and then a lot of other companies, not necessarily like Volkswagen might be buying LiDAR from a lot of people, but still this partnership is important. Okay, so investment highlights. So the expected 5 billion to 150 billion dollar 2030, breakthrough technology from scratch, deeply integrated hardware and software, partnered with leading global. This is the most important, which So basically saying 50 OEMs and other commercial strategic partners, including 7 of the world's top 10 automakers. Okay, 7 top 10 automakers, if they use LiDAR Luminar technology, I think that's a reality. Then I would say this will have a huge momentum and potential revenues, compelling growth and margins. Okay, so now let's get into, this is all about their tech. Okay, so Volvo 22 start of production. This is, as I said, Volvo belongs to Geely, and they signed up with other Geely companies, and Volvo is the only. I mean, Volvo is the company that's only signing up with LiDAR with Luminar. So they won't have any cars without Luminar in the EV sector. Okay, so not only LiDAR, but lot of they within this investor presentation they have nice videos. Okay, so let's get into actually the important part, which is in my view revenues. Okay, so 50 commercial partnerships, 75% of the target passenger vehicle, trucking, and robo taxi ecosystem. Okay, so within the trucking, all their partnerships, you can see Nikola, you can see Kodiak, and also robo taxis, Uber, and Cruise partnering with Luminar, and passenger vehicles, as you can see here, a lot of companies. I mean, if you take Ford, they partner with Velodyne also, but you can see these are a lot of partners actually will be using Luminar technologies, including Neo, Rivian, Volvo. Okay, so okay, let's get into obviously financial highlights. So okay, this is kind of product development, just manufacturing company started. And obviously, you don't expect a lot of revenue in last 1 or 2 years. Okay, but if you look at it, so this is hardware and this is software revenue they broken into. So 2020, the revenue year mainly not selling the lidar, but test and development unit sales and NRE revenues. Okay, so this is not, you don't even take consider. Okay, so 2021, 2022, pretty much no revenue. 35 million, 20 million, no, it's not a big deal for this company. So this is really no million. This is when they actually start selling in 2023, 2024, 2025, and this is the number of units. So basically, as you can see here, it is like very few units. This is where actually 2023 is where actually they commercially sell to all these partners. That is the plan. So hopefully everything goes well here. This is where they start selling. Okay, that is how they'll grow. So that is unit sales and millions revenue, and this is what the gross profit expect. So obviously, loss 60 million loss, next year 90 million loss, 22 $90 million loss, 23 also loss. So 24 is they'll make profit, which is purely fine, not a big issue, as long as actually they are making these units and they are selling as they expected. Okay, so this is about Luminar and their projected revenue and profits, and you can see the transaction, which is not important because it's already much. Okay, so let's look into Velodyne Lidar now, which merged with the graph recently. So same thing here, a lot of great technology people, Rambus mega chips, and then obviously a lot of good companies. So we'll go through here. So it's established company graph merging with 2020, valuation in place at $1.6 billion. Okay, so the most important thing I want to talk about is estimated revenue for Velodyne LiDAR is 800 millions in contracted revenue through 2024. So this company, Luminar, has only partnerships. There is no contracted revenue. Okay, so but this company has contracted revenue and a lot of real revenue for last couple of years. Okay, first more eclipsing in the market, 300 plus customers with $570 million cumulative revenue since 2021. So in this year they did not tell exactly 2020, but 300 plus customers with $500 million revenue since, so they are making a lot of money than Luminar, and obviously the stock price still didn't appreciate much. So it's very difficult to predict based on revenue. Most of the time the momentum on stock price depends on the future growth than the current or past revenue. Okay, so this is a mature company, invested invented real-time 3D lidar in 2005, and today they had like $680 million projected revenue on 2024. So they're giving from 2024, and then 16 signed contracts, 300 plus customers, and granted pending patents. So 40,000 units shipped. So if you clearly look at Velodyne LiDAR versus Luminar, they don't have any units manufacturing in Luminar actually that is getting shipped. Whereas these guys here, they don't have millions, but at least 40,000 these units are being shipped. Okay, so this is how initial LiDAR product was, and this is how it looks right now, and this is how it will look in future in later. Okay, so this is a customized hardware plus software. This is what they're talking about, and this is talking about they already have a global manufacturing facilities in both Japan and San Jose, California, and Thailand. Okay, so in my view, this is more matured company, lot of revenues, but it's just that they don't have contracted big with big autos. Okay, so LiDAR 2017 very expensive. LiDAR today highly affordable. So they are saying they're cheap, but let us see. So 160 by 2025 they project $8 million to be 8 million units to be shipped. Okay, so this is they're talking about total, and they are talking about how many companies they have partnered with, and then they're talking about actually the C level, D level people. Okay, so they're talking about based on each industry sector, and then okay, so now they're talking about actual revenue. So Velodyne had 180 million revenue in 2017, 142 18. So they had good revenue, $100 million. This is not a good sign, but they projected is go up from 150 next million to 2024 680 million. So this is where, if you believe, this is where if it happens, then this is a really good investment. Okay, so they are saying they'll be profitable in 2022, whereas Luminar are saying they'll be profitable in 2024. So this is still purely predictions at this point. So nobody knows what happens. Okay, so a couple of partnerships with Velodyne LiDAR announces multi-year sales agreement with local motors. Similarly, partnerships with Luminar with MobileEye. I'll show you what is Mobile is. MobileEye is a dominating self-driving autopilot mechanism used in almost like a lot of vehicles. Okay, so this is what Mobile is. It belongs to Intel's autonomous unit is MobileEye. So 25 million automakers, 25 million, 25 plus companies, 50 million vehicles, and 13 companies actually using for autonomous driving. So as they grow, the Luminar will have more sales. Okay, so this is the news that's saying, hey, Luminar is powered with Volvo, Volvo is powered with Luminar, and also Volkswagen's Audi is powered with Luminar, will be powered with Luminar, and Volkswagen had a. So this is very good similarities. Remember, Volkswagen is QuantumScape. They are all backed each other, and Volkswagen invested big time. So which means Volkswagen will use QuantumScape technology, and QuantumScape also on first day went up by 60%, and next day another 30%. That's just happened a week back. So and also how this lidar luminar lidar technology is, and Daimler is making a big investment. Okay, so this is very highly technical that I showed you. So you may not be interested, but end of the day, this is my conclusion. How am I trading Luminar? Okay, in my view, EV battery manufacturers are more important than lidar players. Without battery, you cannot have EV cars. But LiDAR could be optional as autopilot technology is. For example, Tesla might say $7,000 for extra for this autopilot, but a lot of people might opt in first couple of years. But later it could be a standard feature for a lot more cheaper. But for now, before investing into LiDAR, first make sure you have invested into EV battery companies. In my last video, I gave overview of QuantumScape and Romeo. So go through it and you will get an idea, and also you'll get an idea which is the best ETF to invest into to take advantage of these battery technologies. So they have in short next couple of years, they have a lot more revenue compared to these LiDAR companies. Even though Velodyne LiDAR is more older company, had much more better revenue and diversified, Luminar has a lot more momentum because of cheaper LiDAR and all other partnerships contracts that they have made with a lot of big companies. So as long as they manufacture, deliver next couple of years, I see huge potential. So I own a small investment, few hundred stocks in each other company, but a lot more in options. Okay. So based on how they do in the first quarter, I'll invest more. So hopefully you got better idea of LiDAR companies and technologies and how to make money. Before stopping, please click the like button if you have not already, and see you soon in my next amazing video. Thank you. Have a nice day.